taken out of context.
Taken out of context.
Taking things out of context.
Out of context.
Taken out of context.
Taken out of context.
In the context.
We have more context.
Out of context.
Taken out of context.
That is so out of context.
And take shit out of context.
Out of context.
Deeply out of context.
You're taking it out of context.
No, hey, hold on. So we're gonna flesh this out because I don't want nobody saying we don't take things in context.
Clipped me out of context.
It was out of context.
It's hard for your words to be taken out of context.
The full context.
In a modern day context.
Tell me the context.
Another important reminder as to why context is so important. So,
hey everyone, it's Barbara Ann. Welcome back to my channel, Straight Out of Context. Fair use disclaimer and free speech disclaimer.
We were told that if we said stop, they would stop. And we said stop. And I'll say it again. Please stop. That's it.
We'll see if it's listened to.
Now, Candace Owens did not do an episode today, Friday, December 12th, 2025. However, Erica Kirk and Candace Owens are deeply entrenched in the SEO now over on YouTube. Because when you search Candace Owens in the search bar, the first thing that comes up is Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's Memorial, the public one, and Erica Kirk. But before I get into a little bit of commentary on her video yesterday, Thursday, December 11th, 2025, I want to show you this video clip that Erica Kirk shared via Instagram. That is Charlie and Erica Kirk's 3-year-old daughter and 1-year-old son. In the middle of the night, their 3-year-old daughter got up and was singing to their 1-year-old son, trying to get him to fall back asleep. If you want to read the caption of this video, you can pause to read. She talks about romanticizing wanting to grow old with Charlie Kirk, blowing out her birthday candles with an ache so deep in her heart that she feels and prays no one else ever has to feel it, sharing intimate moments of what her reality is, having her husband been assassinated, sharing private letters that he wrote his wife every single Saturday when he observed the biblical Sabbath. But I don't believe it to be a coincidence that a lot of the people that are attacking Erica Kirk, judging her, and yes, some of her body language and outfit choices have been questionable. People have even linked her to child sex trafficking in Romania. But those people that are making absurd, unfounded, false allegations are the people that watch Candace Owens. They are fans of Candace Owens. And yet she has never simply said, do not attack Erica Kirk. She's even fed the narrative of, I haven't looked into Erica Kirk because there's no reason to. She's never done anything wrong. But she stood by and allows her fans and her supporters with her enormous platform to do just that without speaking. And that to me is a lot louder than a lot of her fans attacking Erica Kirk. Now, as you know, Tyler James Robinson was in court yesterday. It was all about what media was going to be allowed in the courtroom during the proceedings of the trial, whether or not live cameras or one camera would be able to live stream the entire trial. But a lot of people were very upset to see him in a light blue shirt with a light blue and light pink tie on because they feel that it is trans-coded.
That's the vibe. We are too rich. We are elite. We are rich. We are powerful. We have connections, and you guys are just beneath us. There's like an element of feudalism here. Like, we are the lords.
Did she just say we are too rich? We are the lords. We can do whatever we want. We have the money. I can say and do whatever I want. What? Even if this is meant to be satirical, sarcastic, that's crazy because you know her father-in-law and her husband are actually lords. And George Farmer has an honorary title because of his father being a lord in the House of Lords. He is titled the Lord Farmer on his Wikipedia page. As you can see, he has 3 children, including George, and his relatives are listed as Candace Owens, daughter-in-law. He's allegedly worth millions and millions, and George Farmer himself is allegedly worth over $250 million. Candace Owens has grossed about $8 million in her life, not including in the last 3 months. But that's somewhat despicable and gross because what she is doing is trying to make you think that she's one of the poor people. She is one of the elite. She is one of the lords. Candace Owens is one of the very wealthy, rich people that live in a giant mansion in Nashville, Tennessee, with a giant platform. She can say and do whatever she wants. In fact, she can manipulate mainstream media to print or write articles about her whenever. By simply provoking somebody on the platform X, she can get the New York Post or the Daily Mail to write an article about her. And yes, her father-in-law, Lord Michael Farmer, actually has a website, lordmichaelfarmer.co.uk. I cannot make this up. He's a real lord. And so is his son, who has an honorary title because of him. So I think that's gross to misrepresent her husband or her father-in-law and her place in the world, her elite status, her millionaire status, and act like she's just one of the poor people. If it was as simple as marrying a man who has money or access to money, proximity to money, then every woman would just do that. They would just find themselves a good man who's rich, has a job, is going to be secure in retirement and Social Security, pension, whatever. But that's not the reality for most people. Candace Owens has no idea what it's like to be one of us. Somebody who is literally making millions of dollars in a week, let alone $100 in a week. The problem isn't people, and it's not talent or hard work. It's being able to capitalize and monetize fame in whatever way necessary to make your name and yourself famous. And once you get a big enough following on a social media platform, well, then you're set. But the problem is in the topic and the content itself, because oftentimes she makes very serious, very heinous false allegations about real people, real lives. And I myself would never be able to do that, to stoop to that. I myself would never even wish that on Candace Owens. I don't want to silence her. I don't want to take away her free speech. I don't want to take away her platform. I just wish that it was different. I wish she was really breaking real stories.
And who are you? Who are you? We can afford this, and we're going to keep pushing. And until you believe what we say happened, even when it just makes no sense, it's frustrating. Like I'm frustrated by it. And again, I have been clear. I think Tyler Robinson was involved on that day. I think there were multiple people that were involved in that day.
Now, see, she has mentioned this multiple times. She before has said, I do think that Tyler James Robinson was involved. I don't think he was the shooter. She said things like that to CNN and in her own content. And then in another video, she also said that she doesn't believe he was involved at all. She doesn't believe he was even on campus. How could he be the real shooter if he wasn't on campus? He would have to be on campus to take the shot. We would presume anyway, right? Because if you look at the maps, there would be no way that somebody could be off campus and still take that shot, have that aim and have that line of sight directly to Charlie and his tent.
Obviously, most people were involved. I think he took clothes and hid them in the cemetery or whatever next to the Dairy Queen. But I don't think that he was on campus that day. I do not believe Tyler Robinson was on campus that day. And I would just also like to point out how easy it would be for them to give us anything believable.
Now, see, this is exactly how she manipulates a large audience. She just wants them to give her anything that's real or believable. What have they put out that was not real or not believable? See, using words, she often works in the negatives or the double negatives. Saying that they have not given you anything real or anything believable is to insinuate and to imply directly that everything they have put out is a lie and it's unbelievable. And she also keeps mentioning the feds. And I keep showing you the indictment. The federal government, the FBI, the CIA, the DEA, the ATF, none of them, especially the feds, have anything to do with the homicide investigation or the charges for Charlie Kirk. The FBI did not head the investigation. They do not have jurisdiction over the investigation. All they did was offer their manpower and resources to Utah law enforcement. That was it. Utah law enforcement are the people she should be referring to, not the feds, because this has nothing to do with the feds. And the fact that she keeps saying that has people believing that the FBI are lying. It's not the case belonging to the FBI. Are there corrupt law enforcement officers and FBI agents? Sure there is. But do I believe that that is the majority or all? No, not actually. I think that's not only a gross misrepresentation, I think that that is untrue, because I believe that most people are good, decent human beings at their core. And I truly believe that the majority of humans on planet Earth are good, are decent. They're not corrupt and they're not lying. They're not risking their job, their social security, and their pension to do this huge cover up, this huge conspiracy theory, and let the real killer of Charlie Kirk get away. I just simply do not believe that. Others can, that's fine, but it has nothing to do with the feds.
How would, help me out, guys. Again, I'm not a legal expert. Glenn Beck understands this stuff, but who am I? I'm so sorry, Glenn. I don't explain it to us. But I don't understand how if they just released a video of him taking the shot.
They have released some images. They have released some stills from a lot of the CCTV footage. They have released what they felt comfortable releasing to the public when they were asking the public for help. And I'm sure the rest is going to come out. Mark my words. A Freedom of Information Act request will be fulfilled and granted after the trial is said and done and a sentencing is concluded. If they have CCTV footage of Tyler James Robinson on that roof alone, taking that one singular shot that happened that day that ended the life of Charlie Kirk, they will play that for the jury. That evidence will be presented to the jury. That's his due process right. But Erica Kirk, her children, Charlie's parents and sister, they are victims and they have rights also, like the preservation of the investigation and the trial. And victims' rights trump anybody else's rights, like society or the public. Sure, as a member of society and the public, I want to see it, but my curiosity to see something does not trump over the victim's rights, nor infringing on their rights. I rest assured knowing that they caught the right person and that in due time, we will see all of the evidence and footage.
Because there's video of that. How would that ruin their case? How would that not support their case, actually? And also support their case with the public? Like, that would be the first thing I would do. Rather than try to deploy this propaganda effort, you could just present something solid, like something that isn't flimsy in this entire thing. And I think that would be my call. I would just be like, here you go. There you are. Happy for you to see it. He took the shot, and you're going to see Tyler Robinson jump down, and it's not going to impact our case because how could it? It's open and shut.
Nothing is ever open and shut in the court of law. And why would they release anything, whether it's video, photograph, or DNA? It's evidence. It's all evidence.
Wrote out his entire confession. You're seeing the footage. Nope, they can't do that. Well, guys, I'm happy to learn that Tyler Robinson is not AI, because that it's been so weird that we just can't see anything about him. Obviously, I'm being tongue in cheek, but he has finally appeared in person. He made his first in-person court appearance.
But she doesn't think that he did it, or at least he didn't act alone, and that he was never on campus that day. So why does she care about his trial if he's innocent to her? Or if he's just a pawn or a puppet? Why hasn't she found the real shooter then yet?
Kind of seemed like he was smiling. I did not get the energy of someone who is worried about getting the electric chair. There's nothing really to add here. There wasn't.
It is still yet to be determined whether or not they offer him a plea deal for life in prison if they take the death penalty off and he plead guilty and admit what he did. But he also would be waiving all of his rights to appeals, and he likely would have to say that he is in fact guilty. That is always a possibility that in the next 2 to 3 years, he acknowledges that the prosecution has enough evidence to not only convict him, but to sentence him to the death penalty. And if that's the case, maybe his attorneys will broker a plea deal. But again, he would have to go in front of a judge and admit that he was not paid nor coerced, and that he would have to admit his guilt before he would be able to even enter that plea, for that plea to be accepted by the court. But I think if his family was smart, they would certainly be looking into that, because the alternative is he likely will be sentenced to the death penalty. And if and when that day comes that he admits they have enough evidence to prove his guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and that he is the sole perpetrator and person involved in the homicide of Charlie Kirk, well, then Candace Owens and everything she's done in the last 90 days is all for naught. It will quite literally be all null and void, nullified. Everything, including her investigation, because not only did she not solve the murder of her dear friend, Charlie Kirk, she didn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it was anybody else that was helping Tyler James Robinson, or who the real shooter actually is. And anybody believing this would be crazy, because how can she do that from her Nashville, Tennessee home and studio? She is even restricted by a gag order, because all of the witnesses in the case can't talk to Candace Owens.
Anything that really came out of this hearing, everything is obviously very preliminary at this stage. This is going to take a long time, but we're obviously hoping that they are going to allow transparency and accessibility to the case by allowing the media in there. Media organizations, even for this case, are requesting the transcript of the hearing, and hopefully we will have more. But he exists, okay?
Yeah, I would say that he does exist. I mean, this man, young man, literally took the life of Charlie Kirk. He does exist. Over 3,600 people witnessed it. CCTV footage and cameras captured it. Yeah, he truly does exist. And it's not the first time we've seen him. We've seen him attend a court hearing via Zoom.
We'll keep you posted. In other news, or things that I'm frustrated about, is just more than the people who hate me and are dedicated every minute, because apparently they're allowed to get clicks off of my name. I'm not allowed to talk about what I want to talk about on my show, but they can talk about what they want to talk about over and over and over again on their show.
Now, see, that's where she's wrong. I don't actually hate Candace Owens. I do see her for the sociopath and the psychopath that she is, the narcissist that she is. Do I want her platform gone? No. Do I want her right to free speech gone? No. Do I want to see her bankrupt or gone? No. I just wish she would really stop hurting real people, because her fans are sending death threats to other content creators, to Charlie Kirk's wife, his staff, his employees, his family, even his own pastor. And like I said, if his best friend was this Mikey McCoy guy and he's this sexual deviant, according to Candace Owens, what kind of person was Charlie Kirk really, that he was hanging out with somebody like that? What kind of person was he really if he was surrounding himself with these kind of people that are laundering money, putting millions of dollars into shell companies, lying on tax forms? And what kind of person is Candace Owens that she was that close to somebody like that? What kind of person is Candace Owens really if she wants to go and work doing PR for Erica Kirk and Turning Point USA, like she said in yesterday's episode, that she wants to go be on board and help them make things look more organic instead of be organic? So she can defame, slander, libel everybody at Turning Point USA, even Erica Kirk, even accuse people of being pedophiles, sexual deviants. But then she turns around and wants to go work with those people that were very close to Charlie Kirk, as if her and her husband's close proximity to Russell Brand or the Tate brothers wasn't problematic enough.
But I reserve more contempt for the people who don't have the courage to just hate me and instead try to hide behind Bible verses. There is something that deeply and spiritually bothers me about that.
It bothers her because she knows that's exactly what she's doing. She has hundreds of thousands of people believing that she's doing this in the name of righteousness, in the name of truth, in the name of scripture, being anointed by God to seek truth, and she's the only one who can do it. I think it's very simple. She's jealous. She's envious that somebody can have a closer relationship personally with God, that they seek the Bible for guidance on everything. It doesn't matter if you're a Catholic, if you're Jewish, if you're a Muslim. What does it matter if you call yourself that, but you really aren't practicing your religion? It's religious and spiritual warfare and manipulation. And Candace Owens, she knows she's doing it. That's why she hates to see other people do it more successfully than her, because other people can't be anointed by God to seek the truth and to tell the truth also directly from the Bible and quote scripture. Other people can't be more devout, more loyal, and more faithful to God and God's will. Because first and foremost, as a servant of God, you are a servant, not a servant to yourself, your own image, your own brand, or your own money-making machine. At that point, you not only lost the plot, you lost your soul. You betrayed your own soul for fame and money. And Candace knows that she psychologically and spiritually manipulates her audience, but she can't serve God truly and serve her business and money at the same time. Those two things cannot simultaneously coexist.
And chief among them is Allie Beth Stuckey, okay? She presents herself like her brand is squeaky, clean Christianity, does a lot behind the scenes. She's hired like a monster PR agent.
So if she has a PR agent, that's fine. But she also released this, sent to Allie B. Stuckey. Please stop acting like you are super close to Charlie. Yes, you spoke at events and you were colleagues and allies in this movement, but you are acting like you were super close with him, and that's annoying me. You didn't know about the Catholic thing because you never had that sort of personal friendship with him. We have all been friendly over the years, as we all have appreciated you as a hard worker and a mother to children. She's trying to isolate her and make her feel like everybody talks bad about her behind her back. That's mean girl. That right there is straight up mean girl, spiritual, horrible. We don't like you behind your back type shit. That aside, yes, you are very clearly a part of the psychological operation, as you are, quite sinisterly, trying to use Bible verses to tell people to ignore their intuition. I might add the fact that in this very post, you are tossing around a literal psychological term to try to pathologize people who simply don't agree that a 30-06 bullet's magically stopped by human necks. The reality, Allie, is that you have been open about the fact that you are part Jewish and you are being exceedingly tribal in this situation. The best proof for that tribalism is that even when Josh Hammer told one of the most disgusting lies in this entire saga, you were moved to do a video defending his character rather than calling a spade a spade. You don't care about truth. You care about defending what you perceive to be your side. You said Josh Hammer was a good person after he lied about Charlie's final 48 hours. That is naked tribalism for which you should be ashamed yourself. There are no Bible verse needed for people to recognize that someone shamelessly lying about a man's thoughts and concerns before he died is nothing short of monstrous. And there is no friend to Charlie that wouldn't have the moral clarity to at least call out such a deranged misrepresentation of the very real anxiety Charlie was going through in those final months. Girl, let's be so for real right now, Candace. Charlie Kirk probably lived under anxiety from the time he was 19 to almost 32. Why? Because starting and running a nonprofit organization for nearly 13 years is a huge anxiety.
One will tell you that. There's not a single Daily Wire host, Matt Walsh, Michael knows, nicest people ever, Brett Cooper, nicest person that will defend Allie Beth Stuckey's current PR agent, who is just literally hell-bent on advancing Israel's cause by any means necessary, like by sending someone to follow me after I was no longer employed there to try to make me look bad on camera. She keeps files and cuts people out of context and then sends it to people like Ian Miles Chung. I mean, this is a bad person.
No one has to pay anybody or send anybody any clips because this is all organic. And I think that Candace Owens wants people to believe that this is all an orchestrated PR. It's not. Sure, people might have PR, but everything about Candace Owens is organic because real people see what she's really doing. The sociopathy, the narcissism, the hurting and harming of real people for her topic, for her content.
Who Allie Beth has hired, but we're supposed to believe Allie Beth is Christian.
And now she gets to imply and insinuate if somebody really is or is not Christian. What gives her the religious or the spiritual authority? She's so pompous. She's so arrogant. She's egotistical, conceited, so condescending and patronizing, judgmental. She's the opposite of a humble, loyal servant of God. She claims to be a newly converted Catholic. Do we sit here and say, oh, you're supposedly a Catholic, but you're not acting like one? Candace Owens claims to be a Catholic, yet she's diving down rabbit holes of conspiracy theories, false allegations, unfounded accusations. If you're a real Catholic, you're not going to do that because that takes you further from God. Do you see how ridiculous that is if people were doing that to her? And she gets to sit there and insinuate that somebody is allegedly a Christian, putting it in 6 million people's minds that that person is not. That is the damage that she does. Always constantly living in a space of negatives, lies, double negatives. Literally can say whatever bullshit, lies, slander that she wants to, and then she can operate with the whole prove me wrong, knowing that lies are not going to have any valid proof to be able to say that it's not true, because it's not true. It's made up. If you make a claim, you have the legal, moral, and ethical responsibility to prove the evidence for your claim. That's on you. It's not on anybody else's shoulders, legally, ethically, or morally, to show proof that a lie is a lie. Because that's how Candace operates. Anybody can say anything. And that's exactly in the space of which she lives, the sphere she surrounds herself in. Negatives and double negatives. So instead of having the responsibility and legal obligation to back up your supposedly truthful claims as the truth, she wants everybody else to prove that her lies are not true. That's not only not how it works, that's bass-ackwards. Here, let me put it to you like this, okay? For people who still believe Candace, most people lie infrequently, averaging about 0 to 2 lies per day, with about 75% of people telling a few or no lies, while a small group of prolific liars, around 6%, accounts for the majority of deceitful statements, often small white lies, to smooth interactions. So while the average might seem higher, around 2 lies daily, most humans, 8 billion across 195 nations, with America having almost 350 million American citizens. Most people are quite honest. A few people lie constantly, skewing the overall numbers of research and studies. Candace Owens has been caught multiple times lying. If you don't believe me, go watch the Jay Witt podcast, Milk Bar TV, or others who document her words. The majority of people are honest. Around 3/4 of people, all 8 billion on planet Earth, tell 0 to 2 lies daily, with many reporting no lies at all. Skewed distribution, the average, around 1 to 2 lies daily, is pulled up by a small percentage, around 6% of individuals who lie frequently, over 6 times a day. White lies are common. Most lies told are often minor, polite white lies, rather than serious deceptions. Like if you were to ask your husband, do you feel like having steak for dinner because I bought steak? And he says, yes, when he really wants to say, no, I don't feel like steak. Save it for another day. A man asks his wife, are you hungry? And she says, yes, I'm hungry, when she really isn't hungry. That's a white lie. Fluctuation. How much somebody lies can change day to day, even for prolific liars like Candace Owens, notes an article from the University of Chicago. But the majority of people on planet Earth are good and honest.
Anyways, I do want to point to this because she's now, no, it's always biblical. So you can never question whether or not she's just being a mean girl and using Bible verses.
And what was she doing here? She was trying to make Allie feel like everybody hates her behind her back and that they all just tolerate her because she's a hard worker and she's a mom. I think this is some very deeply insightful and psychological proof that Candace Owens has deeply insecure roots inside. And could that be because she was raised by her parents, because she had addicted or alcoholic parents? She goes on to tell her in the first screenshot that we, as if Candace Owens collectively speaks for everybody, we have been kind to you and have appreciated your hard work and the fact that you're a mother. But that aside, you are still a part of a psychological operation. So are you, Candace. You want to know a truth? You know you're a part of a psychological operation, and you know people are dumb and that they're stupid, they're ignorant, and that they fall for it. But it doesn't matter to you because the higher the views, the more money you make in ad revenue. And talk about anybody being tolerated. I'm starting to wonder, what does Candace Owens' husband do for work other than sit back and help produce his wife's scripted shows? So is she the sole breadwinner in their marriage? I mean, I know he's worth over $250 million, but isn't any of that money liquidated money? Or is he living off of a set amount of money because of a trust fund? And Candace Owens has to work because she has to provide for her family. That would beg the question, is your husband tolerating you, or are you tolerating your husband? But women are too emotional and they're not equipped to be CEO. Well, that begs the question, why isn't every man and every husband and father being a good enough provider? And why would a content creator have to stoop to such low lows, like harming real people, including a victim of a very heinous crime, the wife of somebody who was supposed to be her friend, their babies, only 3 and 1, her alleged friend's widow? Why hurt them in real time, all in the sake of money, fame, notoriety? Is there no sense of sacredness? No sense of any topic that she will not try to touch for chaos or controversy? And if she'll do that to a grieving widow who is a victim of a crime, do you honestly think that anything would ever stop Candace Owens? Do you honestly think that anything is sacred to her? Do you honestly think that she has any respect for anybody, let alone self-respect? Calls everybody else a liar, verified lies, yet there are verified lists of lies that came out of the mouth of Candace Owens. And you can easily verify and find those. Candace is even out here saying this via this same episode. Quote, Charlie's upcoming book is on honoring the Shabbat, which I'm not going to be doing because I'm Christian, unquote. So Charlie wasn't Christian? LOL. Wow. But you know what, Candace? Do you know who did honor the Sabbath? Who observed the Sabbath? Because at the end of your life, if you truly are a Catholic, you are going to bend the knee to a Jew. That's right. Jesus the Nazarene, Jesus of Nazareth, observed the Sabbath himself. And yet from him was born Christianity. So Charlie was a Christian who observed the biblical Sabbath, the same way his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, did. But she's above that because she's religiously superior to you. As a new Catholic, newly converted, and she talks about scandal everywhere except for the scandal within her own house, conveniently leaving out the scandal of the Catholic Church, of popes long past. Right, because it's absurd to blame Catholicism, Catholics, or the Catholic Church, and over 1.9 billion people on planet Earth who are Catholics, for things that bad people have done, using and abusing Catholicism. That's what I hate and what I cannot stand about Candace Owens as far as her actions, words, choices, and behaviors is her snobbery, her religious and spiritual manipulation and snobbery. After telling Charlie Kirk's pastor to sit down and shut up and demand silence from him, to literally tell the entire world, including all of the people that are in her chat, that she told Charlie Kirk before he died that he needs to take the last step into converting to Catholic because he's too smart to be a Protestant. Her words, verbatim, quote, "You're too smart to be a Protestant," unquote. Do you know what that would be like if anybody else said something similar like that to Candace? Like, "You're too ugly to be so mean to other people," or "You're too stupid or unintelligent to act like you're religiously superior to anyone or anything else." But per that example right there is the difference between good people and bad people. I think Candace Owens is a bad person. I think she's a shit human being, and I think her sociopathy and her narcissism really rules the roost. And I think that she thinks so highly of herself, and she has such a huge ego and this really grandiose sense of self because she is deeply insecure and fractured inside. This is usually where cluster B personality disorders are born, because internally she might not feel pretty enough. She might not feel that she has a high enough IQ. She might not. She might not feel that she has a talent that is worth any kind of fame or notoriety. So she has to fake it. She has to forge it. But that still is very based. At the very foundation, at the very core, is still born out of sociopathy and narcissism.
To qualify being mean. But yesterday we peaked because she's now moved to being a teacher and letting you know that not trusting the mainstream narrative actually is, it's a rhetorical device that was used during BLM. Let's just read her post here. This really annoyed me, and even further, the comment section annoyed me. But she wrote, "In 2020, we all became familiarized with the Kafka trap. It's a rhetorical trick wherein you insist that someone's denial of an accusation proves their guilt. You're denying you're a racist because of your white fragility. It's a way to make your arguments irrefutable without ever having to provide evidence." BLM uses this tactic repeatedly, and now Candace has taken a page out of their book. Anyone, including Charlie's own wife, who pushes back against her conspiracies are only doing so because it's a psyop. They're getting paid. It couldn't possibly be that people sincerely disagree with her methods or can disprove her faulty logic. It's an effective, albeit dishonest, way to solidify yourself as the only champion of truth.
It is defective and it is dishonest. And the reason why this makes Candace and her skin crawl is because she was directly called out for what the fuck she really does. I don't think Candace Owens is really understanding that we see her. We now can clearly see her. Hide behind your show, hide behind your book club or your website, hide behind the content. But down to the very core, we see her, what she is doing, and how she likes to manipulate words to try and get a whole audience to believe what she wants you to conclude and believe. Doesn't matter if it's not truthful. She knows it's not truthful. And she knows that nobody on planet Earth can prove that a lie is a lie because it's a negative. It's not going to have anything to verify that it's not true. Instead of being a real journalist or a real investigative journalist, it's your legal, ethical, and moral responsibility to prove that your claims are true with facts and evidence. That tells you A, she's not a real investigator, B, she's not a real journalist, C, that she's fully aware of what she's doing, D, that it's scripted and orchestrated this way to keep you hooked and keep you coming back. Because the whole point of all of it is to make you believe that it's just simply a possibility. She doesn't realize that her content is what radicalizes people like Tyler James Robinson because they cannot discern logically between what is real and what is fake, what they hear and what they see, and what is actually known to be true. People like Tyler James Robinson, that's exactly the kind of person they watch. People like Candace Owens. What human being, especially one that is God-fearing, devout to God would want that on their conscience, that even one person out of 6 million almost followers she has on YouTube watch her bullshit and actually go and try to do something like attack somebody at Turning Point USA, or Erica while she's out with her 3-year-old and 1-year-old babies, or Charlie's mom and dad and sister. It was already said that Tim Pool had somebody shooting on his property because Candace Owens did an entire episode and put him in the thumbnail. Don't know if that was ever verified or not, but see, that's exactly the type of shit that is not normal in America. But then people get on YouTube and they believe the things that they watch and they see. They don't realize that these are celebrities who are just scripting these shows and saying whatever bullshit for the maximum amount of views.
And then little old me did a video and I disrupted this narrative and I revealed to the world. Now, my issue is that when people push back on her, she just pulls out the Bible.
And it seems to me that Candace Owens is very jealous. Has she ever even read the entire Bible from cover to cover? Has she read all of the ancient biblical scripts? The Ethiopian Bible, which has been unchanged for over 1800 years? Or is she deeply insecure and jealous that somebody was raised a Christian, attending church? Is she jealous at somebody else's relationship and closeness with the Bible and God? And is she jealous that she can't find that in her own life? I don't know, but that's what it's giving. And she has certainly been giving mean girl to Allie while she's constantly trying to say that she's doing that. It's gaslighting 101. It's hypocrisy and it's crazy. I'm starting to think that Candace Owens is nothing but a sociopath, a psychopath, a narcissist. And you know what's really crazy and ironic about that is I don't hate Candace Owens. I don't want to hate her. I wanted to keep liking her. It's her own actions, words, choices, and behaviors that really opened my eyes. The moment Charlie Kirk died, I said, wait, what? What did she say? What? And I started paying really close attention instead of just playing her background noise.
Okay. Like, for example, this is in the comment section. Somebody wrote to her because she's been sniping at me and it's been very mean girl-esque. This person wrote this on Instagram. They wrote in the comment section, you keep inserting yourself into this topic, but you never add any real value. So what is the agenda for you here? Candace wasn't even mean to you when you inserted yourself the first time. So mean girl energy, like that's a fair question. She does have mean girl energy. Then she says, oh, Britt, I comment on the news. Charlie was my good friend. No one commenting on this story is inserting themselves any more than Candace is. You don't see value in learning how to decipher truth logically and biblically, and that's okay. Like that sentence, just play it again. I want to read it again. You don't see the value in learning how to decipher truth logically and biblically, and that's okay. My content is not for you then. How does that not just make your skin crawl? I don't know. Like, does that not make your skin crawl?
No, it doesn't, because it does pass my mind that there are people who know the Bible better than me, even though I've read it many times throughout my life. I still currently read it every single day. But no, it makes my heart happy to see somebody else know their Bible and love it.
Just be snipey and petty. Stop using the Bible as a shield for what you're doing, okay? That woman accurately called you out. I don't know her. Thank you for saying it's very obvious what you're doing. To come back and say, I'm so sorry that you don't like the Bible. I'm so sorry that you don't like the Bible. She is like Salve Regina George, right? Like Mean Girls was fine because we all knew Regina George was mean.
See, there she goes right there. Wanting you to believe that other people are mean girls, targeting them as mean girls. Yet look at what she privately said to Allie that Allie put out. She was being a mean girl while trying to make her feel and think that Candace and everybody else, by saying we, instead of saying what she means and means what she says as she, herself, and her. We all know that me are Candace Owens' favorite pronouns. No, she says we, to make Allie believe and feel like everybody else that Candace knows and surrounds herself with, including celebrities, the elite of the world, the rich and famous, the biggest content creators, the biggest musicians, close proximity to President Donald Trump and the House of Lords in the UK with her father-in-law, that all of those people are included in the quote, we. We tolerated you, Allie, because you were a hard worker and you were just a mom. That is mean girl. That is bullying. That is trying to isolate and make somebody feel bad about their hard work, about their womanhood, about their motherhood. And that is evil. That's not just mean, that's evil. Because it takes somebody who's really low and insecure to think that way, to say things that way. And it says a hell of a lot more about Candace Owens and who she is and the social climbing little witch that she is than it does about anybody else that just simply loves their Bible.
And she was like proud of that. Allie Beth Stuckey does the same like tactic of attacking people, sniping them. And then she's like, I'm sorry you don't like the Bible. I actually do like the Bible. You know, I haven't made Christianity my brand.
But that's a huge lie and misrepresentation because she has made Catholicism a huge part of her brand, including documenting and even doing long speeches at events and campuses about her conversion to Catholicism. Not that she would ever get one person to convert to Catholicism because she doesn't lead by example. She doesn't lead with light, love, and kindness. She leads with her psychological egoism, not her heart. And in the end, people like that only end up exposing themselves with their own actions, words, choices, and behaviors because their motives will always be made clear.
Because I'm a Catholic and I don't believe that women can be priests and should be playing the part of pastors. I believe that if I have a question about the Bible, I should go to my priest, not to Allie Beth Stuckey on Instagram.
Just because you're Catholic and just because you believe that women cannot be in ministry, that doesn't ever mean that you are correct. That only means that you think that you are correct. And just because a woman pulls out her Bible and gets an audience, shares the word of God, and educates with the word of God, does that mean she's trying to be a minister or a priest or a pastor? Absolutely not. And I think that she is insanely jealous and envious because of the way she just was a mean girl, straight out Regina George, while trying to convince everybody else that it's Allie that is Regina George. It's like Candace Owens is living in upside down land, in backwards world, where the truth isn't truth. What she says is truth. The way she tried to demolish and demonize her entire existence and platform with, if I have a question about the Bible, I will go to my priest, not to Allie Beth Stuckey over on Instagram. It's the way she said it and the way that she tried to completely obliterate her entire platform, all of her content, and what her topic is, all in one swipe, while sitting there trying to say that Allie swipes at her all the time just by simply saying the truth. If we wanted conspiracy theories and unfounded allegations, false allegations, we would go over to Instagram and follow Amber Heard or, I don't know, Alex Jones maybe, instead of Candace Owens. We certainly wouldn't get our lies and our made-up conspiracy theories from somebody who can't even show one single shred of evidence. Because if you think for 1 second that Candace Owens isn't strategically setting herself and her brand to be the Black, conservative, Catholic female version of Alex Jones, you are dead ass wrong. Because she mentions him quite a bit. And she is a small Black woman who claimed to once be liberal, even though she acts like a Democrat, speaks like a Democrat, and has the world view and opinions of a Democrat. She used the conservative movement and Charlie Kirk's proximity to fame and powerful people in real politics to align herself and garner this attention and this fame and this platform. But just go look back and study her whole career, because I was a fan of hers for the last several years. And now that I really am paying attention, I see the toxic cycle that Candace Owens really has had throughout her entire, quote, career, unquote. She propped herself up and positioned herself to be the Black female Alex Jones. Let's just hope she doesn't get sued like him too. Oh, wait. I think she already has been. Didn't Alex Jones have to pay out $1.5 billion to the victims' families of the Sandy Hook Elementary shooting? Because the 20 children and the 6 educators who died really were murdered? And it wasn't a giant hoax or a big acting gig? Didn't Alex Jones get in trouble over and over and over again for not complying with discovery, with the judge's orders, with not turning things over when told to? Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he get ordered to pay like $1.5 billion? Somebody correct me on this. What was it?
But what I can say to you is that a main takeaway is the truth. You should commit yourself to the truth. And Allie Beth Stuckey has gone through great pains to cover up for people that are lying. Okay. No one worse than Josh Hammer. Okay. Josh Hammer explicitly lied about Charlie's state of mind. He went on multiple podcasts. He called me a liar. He never blinked on Israel. If I did not release that text message, that would have been the narrative.
And yet that text message didn't reveal quite what she wanted it to reveal or what she represented it to reveal. It actually said a whole lot more about Charlie Kirk and his anger and his revenge and resentment against donors who simply pulled out funding from Turning Point USA. And for an organization that got over $86 million in a single year and over $140 million in the last 90 days, one donor pulling $2 million a year doesn't seem like that big of a deal, right? Not even a drop in the bucket. But yet he was angry enough to threaten to bring Candace Owens back just to piss said donor off. And yet they never even revealed who that donor was or is today. It also sheds a whole new light on who Charlie Kirk really was, because people have accused him of making false allegations, spreading real rumors to take down other content creators. That he falsely accused a man named Milo over on X, another very big, well-known content creator, of being a sexual deviant and having relations with underage men, minors, simply because he wanted to destroy him and destroy his platform. The truth, the bigger question should be, who in the hell was Charlie Kirk really? Why was his best friend and handpicked staff a sexual deviant, according to Candace? Was he really arrogant, pompous, an asshole? Was he the gatekeeper of content creation, of the conservative movement, of political commentating on social media? Why would he threaten in private text messages when angry to bring back Candace Owens to piss off a donor who pulled away over $2 million in donations every year? The bigger question is, who in the hell was Charlie Kirk really, if he was privately text messaging with a former employee, colleague, and friend, making fun of other really large content creators and political commentators, aka Ben Shapiro? Like him or not, it really exposes Charlie Kirk as being an asshole, a judgmental asshole, truly behind the scenes, who he really is. But it's also easily verifiable because Erica Kirk has her husband's phone, right? His devices. She would know all of the emails and text messages that he sent because they work both ways. Whether there's two people who are messaging each other or emailing each other, or if it's a group chat or email. What would be interesting is actually seeing how Charlie Kirk really talked to everybody privately, because that's a bigger question that needs to be answered. Who really was Charlie Kirk? Not the conservative Christian man who was a husband and a father, who did political commentary on the Charlie Kirk Show and started a nonprofit organization, went to campuses saying, "Prove me wrong," on his banners and tents, when he knows that he had already briefed for every single speech and debate he ever had. Who was Charlie Kirk that he was so hated that a 22-year-old young man planned, plotted, and executed him, the ending of his life, and successfully accomplished that? Because sure, it takes bravery. It takes being courageous to stand on your convictions, your faith, and your beliefs. But it takes something else entirely to make people hate you, dislike you, disagree with your political opinions. So that is a question that needs to be answered. Who really was Charlie Kirk?
If you are a Christian and you purport to have been a good friend to Charlie, that's low-hanging fruit to say what Josh Hammer did here was wrong. Okay? She says she's a good friend to Charlie, but when similarly I came out and said a thing about the Catholic faith, if you were a good friend, wouldn't you have said, you know what, Alex Clark, that whole little episode saying Charlie only liked architecture for what it's worth, it wasn't true. You wouldn't be running PR for her. If you were a friend to Charlie and you were committed to truth.
Again, Candace Owens misrepresented Charlie Kirk wanting to convert to Catholicism because nothing ever proved that he was planning on, nor was he ever going to take the steps to convert to Catholicism. So she can keep putting that out there like that's a lie, but that's not a lie. Turning Point USA, all under the direction of Erica Kirk, had addressed that on the Charlie Kirk show, that no, he was not converting to Catholicism. So that's not a lie. And people refuting that are actually telling the truth. But again, him making jokes behind Ben Shapiro's back kind of shows him to be an asshole because he was nice to his face. Also, Candace Owens putting that out in the world begs a bigger question. Who really was Charlie Kirk that he was doing that? Hanging out with sexual deviants, pedophiles, making false minor sexual allegations against Milo just to try to deplatform him. Who was he that he was nice to everybody's face who has a equally large following, but yet is texting with Candace Owens behind their back making jokes at their expense? Who was Charlie Kirk that he was hitting below the belt so heinously and so evilly behind the scenes? Because that's a bigger conversation that needs to be had. The truth. That's a bigger topic that needs to be covered. Who was really Charlie Kirk? And why was he doing those things if he truly was a good Christian man? I don't care if you're religious or not. I don't care if you are a Republican or a self-proclaimed Democrat. How you treat people and how you motion and move through life in this very short time that we have here, that matters. How you conduct yourself and what your content is truly all about, and does that reflect who you really are and not who you want people to perceive you to be? That is truth. And that deserves to be talked about. And those good people who truly are who they are and who they say they are, they deserve the fame and the recognition. They deserve a platform for their hard work and for actually seeking the truth, living by the truth. But it's not about that. It's about who can convince you the most that they're God-fearing and that they come in the name of truth. And whoever that person that is able to convince you the most that they are good, that they are humble, that they are obedient, God-fearing, devout, and that they are truth seekers and truth tellers, that those are the people that win. But remember, not only 3 episodes back, Candace Owens admits to everybody that she doesn't give a crap about politics. In fact, a lot of her content had absolutely nothing ever to do with real political commentary. Otherwise, she would talk about the Christian genocides.
And I also want to be clear, my beef is not with Erica. That is what they're pushing now, that if you question it, you're up against Erica. I've been the same Candace since I got into politics, right?
But yet she wants to convince you yesterday on her episode that, since I got into politics, she really has never been into politics. She just really clung to Charlie Kirk because he was into politics. He was into political commentary. He was in the conservative movement and trying to revamp it and bring it to a younger, wider audience, because it's so predictable and cliche for everybody to be a liberal and a Democrat today, right? But now she's talking about her career and her fame and her platform since she got into politics. Candace Owens is not a political commentator, nor is she a journalist, nor is she a politician in any way, shape, or form. She is a content creator, just like me, just like you, just like the next content creator. That's what she does on a large scale. And how did she get so large scale? Because she either fucked or clawed and manipulated her way to the top. Because in my own opinion, she's a sociopath and a narcissist. You have to be, because it's not genuine being yourself. It's not being a hard worker. It's not luck, and it's not talent that got her there. It's the exact opposite of that. It is using people who also have a big following, streamlining and curating that fame, that notoriety, that platform, to then be able to have the large platform to barter, to then bring in sponsors, donors, people who support you. It's manipulation. It's psychological manipulation. But if you really look at the base of her content or all of the shows that she's done, it's the same.
when I stood up to my own community regarding BLM. It's so much like this happening right now. I feel like I'm standing up to my own conservative community in a way because what we were told just wasn't true. It wasn't true. And
see that right there. She broke the story about Black Lives Matter. She didn't. That information was already published by mainstream media outlets. All she did was collect everybody else's hard work and then try to present that in a documentary style. Everybody had already known about the $90 million in donations that Black Lives Matter had gotten and how that money did not actually go to real Black lives. But here she says, I stood against my own community, meaning the African American community, yet she's never ingrained herself in African American communities ever. And yeah, as a Black woman, she was the perfect person to present that information to Black audiences. But the majority of Candace Owens' audience is not Black, nor Black conservatives. Most of her audience are middle-aged to older white women. But the way she says, my quote, conservative quote, ha 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 family, that is her body language and her words telling you that she's really not conservative, that it's all just a gimmick. She doesn't care about politics. She's made that very known, very crystal clear episodes back that she doesn't care about the left or the right. She doesn't care about the Trump administration or Donald Trump anymore. She doesn't care about politics or the government or any other country that's committing, quote, genocide, unquote, according to her. She only used the conservative political talking points when they were not popular to cause enough discourse and to grow a very large platform. And then once she did that, she started exposing who she really is. So the bigger question really is, who the hell is Candace Owens really? Churning out conspiracy theories and chaos, orchestrated chaos via psychological manipulation, all for her own profit. And I really don't want to go over any more of yesterday's episode because I'm pretty sure by now everybody has seen the short clips and has seen exactly what she has said regarding Erica Kirk. And she has now officially said stop 3 different times. Now, she says that she doesn't like when Allie Beth Stuckey hides behind a Bible and pretends to be a mean girl when she would just rather somebody come out and just tell it like it is. Just hate her. Because you don't need a Bible to hate Candace Owens. I don't think Candace Owens understands. People don't want to hate her. I don't want to dislike her, and I certainly don't really dislike her in that sense, but I see her for the sociopath and the narcissist and the deeply insecure and fractured person inside that she truly is. That is believable. Why? Because it's in alignment with the truth. It's in alignment with how humans really behave. And Candace Owens is not revolutionary. She is not extraordinary. She's not the brightest, the most beautiful. She's not the most talented and the most hardworking. And I say that with genuine honesty. She knows that with that being said, she doesn't deserve her platform. And she knows exactly how she got and manipulated her platform. I actually don't hate Candace Owens. I think it's tragic. I think it's sad. I think it's cliche and predictable that she is a sociopath or a narcissist, because that makes more sense. And it also explains all of her actions, words, choices, and behaviors, because good, humble, decent, hardworking, talented people don't behave in the way that she does. They don't manipulate psychologically using words and word salads and negatives. And that to me is what is so tragic and so sad, that people have to pretend to be something they are not to get that level of fame, notoriety, therefore money. I think it's sad that people hide behind God when really they're selling their soul and their ego to the devil for fame and money. Because somebody like me wants to like Candace Owens, but Charlie Kirk's death is making that impossible to like her or to really watch her. And once I seen it, I could not unsee it. Once I started paying attention, it just hit me like a light bulb. None of her website or her show is real. She's mimicking real celebrities, real political figures or political commentators, real journalists. She's faking it until she makes it. And that's exactly how people in Hollywood and the music industry operate. That's why you don't see the real talented musicians in Hollywood, because it's always the sociopaths, the psychopaths, the narcissists who dominate and gatekeep the music industry, the film industry, the political movements, the content creation industry. What you don't see is that it's not real. None of it is real. Left or right is real. The good versus evil, the left versus the right, the white versus the black, none of it is real. It's orchestrated chaos. Because if they have you fighting within yourselves and amongst your neighbors, you can't turn around and fight against the elite. And if you want to know who Candace Owens really is, well, just look to her immense wealth. She is in the 1% elite in America. As much as she tries to convince you otherwise, she is worth millions on her own accord. Her husband's worth over $250 million, and her husband's father is a lord. Her husband has an honorary title because his father is a lord. Her father-in-law is worth millions and millions of dollars. And people like Candace Owens, who have a cluster B personality disorder, in my own opinion, they seek that kind of person. They want to be married to that kind of person because that gives them a grandiose sense of self. It validates their need and their experience and their placement in the world. It validates to themselves that they are deserving, that they earned this, that they belong. But the last thing any of that is based on is actual truth, real truth, not what somebody wants you to think is the truth. What really happened, what really occurred, and who people really are. It's also very far removed from God, from good, from light, from education, and it's all void of any real significant meaning. But to people like Candace Owens, it doesn't matter as long as they're fed at the end of the day. That they have a giant mansion that they get to sleep in every night. That they get to take vacations every 6 weeks. That they can fly anywhere they want to in the world. That they check their bank account every day and see at least 8 digits. And nothing and no one is ever a problem for them because they protect their own and they take care of their own. They protect themselves amongst themselves, and their platforms are a big part of that. But for right now, that's all I have as far as my commentary. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. Leave your comments down below. Don't forget to like, to share, to subscribe, and I will definitely catch you all on the flip side. God bless you and have a great night.